What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the broader markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total. Deposit $5,000, and you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. The offer ends at the end of July. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with this market. So, as far as SPY is going, as you can tell, we had a high up here around 606, came down, made a lower high, came down. So the question is, are we going to try to see a small rebound here? And if we do get that rebound move, will we make another lower high and continue to fall? There's a very, very good chance that that's what's about to happen based off what we're seeing on these charts and because of the tensions right now between Israel and Iran. So as a reminder, okay, there's a very long history between Israel and Iran. There's lots of tensions that were rising for quite a while. And Israel has argued that the nuclear threats from Iran were at a very, very high amount. And that is what incentivized them to, once again, strike against their nuclear facilities. So keep that in mind. That's what's going on so far. Starting off with how this went, Israel launched strikes on Iran on early Friday local time. That's basically Thursday evening for us in the US. And then they targeted the nuclear program. They said they want to continue to do this for as many days as it takes to remove the threats. Iran has retaliated. They're now saying that they have promised a powerful response. And they also are saying that they have launched more than 100 drones towards Israel in the first sign of retaliation. Many of Iran's leaders were killed. They basically had their top military officials and other important figures that ended up losing their lives. And now they're not happy about this. They're threatening Israel back. So, as of right now, according to Marco Rubio, the United States is not involved in the strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting the American forces in the region. So, that's what's happening, at least thus far. So with these tensions and this war that's going on, it's absolutely insane, very sad for everyday people. But the tensions are at a high, and there's no sign of it stopping yet because now Iran's going to retaliate, Israel's going to retaliate back, and then it's just going to go back and forth for a while. This is causing crude to go up like crazy, which is going to cause oil prices, gas prices could start going up because of this. And then as a result, it's going to be inflationary. That's the first factor affecting the markets. Secondly, war itself is just not, great news. And the market's getting a more fearful response. We dumped quite a bit yesterday only to get bought back up. So we're going to see if we can push a little higher before we continue to fall. Keep in mind, today is Friday, the 13th of June. At 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the 5-year inflationary expectations and consumer expectations. This is what the consensus and forecasts look like. So we'll see if we get good data or not. So be prepared for some volatility at 10 a.m. once that data comes out. As you guys know, crude futures are up quite a bit. Not to mention, the fact that futures are down right now, and so is the market still. It is, it's less down than where it was yesterday, but we're going to see if we can sustain these levels or not. The attacks are just very, very intense right now. I also want to add that AMD had their latest AI chip unveiling, the Instinct MI 400 series. This was a good piece of news for them, but this acted as like a buy the rumor, sell the news event. So that's why AMD is down alongside this other pieces of news. Today is Friday, guys. Keep in mind we have a 1.9 puts to call ratio with max pain currently at 597. Now, this is subjected to change, though. We're not always going to be stuck at this same max pain. But then keep in mind that currently max pain is still a bit lower than where we currently are. So if the market does try to balance or shuffle a bit, this could be followed by some downside looking at the current options chain. So keep that in mind. Things are still in a very, very tense situation. Also, just know that although on Fridays we are known for trying to see squeezes, there's no guarantee we're going to get a big squeeze today. Might see a small move up, but I can't promise if it's going to last, especially if we get more and more negative news involving Iran and Israel. So keep that in mind. So what's happening to the market right now? It's very simple, right? If SPY fails at 595, I do expect us to dump towards the low 590s. And if we're bullish, you want to see SPY basically hold above 598. If we could hold this, we could try a small push to fill this gap for the low 600s. But even if we do push like 600 to 601.5, Like, look at the trend. We had a high here, came down, a lower high came down. Could make another lower high before it comes down again. So that's the risk on this, especially since the market's looking for a breakdown from this rising wedge, right? We have this wedge, we're kind of breaking down from here, so there's still going to be that risk of downside. Now, when we open, keep in mind that SPY is trying a rebound move, is trying to get back up. I'll see if we fill this gap. We'll see if 598 holds to fill this gap or not. This is like the first case we kind of come up to fill this gap, but then we end up failing and we see another move down like this. That's going to be like the first scenario. The second scenario would be like the weaker case, which would be that we don't even come up to fill the gap much. We try to fill it and we get rejected near 599, near the EMA right over here, the 20 EMA. And we see this thing just continue to downtrend back down towards like 591 or below for a much larger dump because of crude futures going up and because of the fear from this war news that could contribute to more downside. I will turn back to bullish if we could take out these highs, but my guts tells me what's going to happen is we're going to come short of hitting those highs and taking them out. So any kind of rebound might be followed by some downside. So please be very, very wary of that. I wouldn't fully trust this market. On the QQQ, we're looking weaker. Now, if we fail at 526, this is going to be the 50 EMA. If that fails us, we could be dumping to like 523 or below. If we're bullish, you're going to be looking for essentially 528. And then we have resistance at 530. So we have this high here came down, we had a lower high came down. We'll see if we push towards 528 to 530 or not. And then after we do that, we could start continuing to fall back down towards 525 to 523. Also, you could take a trend line like this and kind of draw this as the next resistance. So even if we do end up coming back up, if we see a small push for like 528 to 530, it's not going to likely last. This could be followed by even more downside as time goes on because of what's happening to crude and these other factors. So once again, for SPY, you could also do the same thing technically. So we could basically take a trend line like this, kind of draw it out like this. I'm not sure if we're going to retest this trend line. We might come a little short of it. We'll see if we go that high, but then that could be another resistance to watch for in case we do get a rejection. So just keep that in mind. On the Russell 2000, it has to get back above like 211 to try to push a little bit higher. If we come short, if we just hit like 210 to 211 and turn from there, we could continue to fall. And this could also resemble a left shoulder, a head, and then a right shoulder, which is once again showing some weakness. So it still looks weak here. And this is also a big if we get back above 210 to fill this gap. There's no guarantee we even do that. We might just kind of shuffle here before we even fall. That's like a more bearish case. But either way, whether we get a small pop or not is dependent on factors, and we'll see if we come back down. Keep in mind, there's going to be volatility at 10 a.m. once we get the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report. For ES, it looks weak right now because we have to hold above 6,050 to be really bullish. I think we're going to come just short of that. So we might be trying to get to the low 6,000s, but then we could reject and continue to fall off the left shoulder, head, and then right shoulder. We need to break 6,050 to be bullish, and we might come short, hit the low 6,000s, and reject. On NQ, we have resistance at 22,000. We got to break that to be bullish. Right now, we have a left shoulder, a head, maybe a right shoulder right here, and then this could continue to fall. We might try to push for 21,700. That's going to be, a big if we do get a small push, but this may be followed by more downside. Looking at the current setup for Bitcoin, there's weakness here. We need to see Bitcoin reclaim 107,000. If not, might shuffle a bit before it continues to fall lower for 102,000. So be careful. For Tesla, same thing. We have this blue trend line acting as resistance. We rejected many times. It is possible we try to push a bit higher here for like 318 to 319, but then we could be dumping to 311 or below to start dumping to like the gap fill at 308. So I do think that Tesla could pop a little bit, but then we're going to be looking for a downside move to 308 to 303 very soon. On Nvda, I would like to see this thing hold above 144 to be bullish. That's a bit of a stretch. We'll see if we hold above it or not. We might come just short. And then even if we push a little bit to fill that gap, we could turn back down afterwards. I wouldn't fully trust the market being bullish yet. Aapl might try to push a little bit. I think the market may also try to push with this. Could be looking for 201.75 to 202. We have to get above 205 to be bullish. If we come short of that, might push and then reject. So keep that in mind as we have a bearish trend right over here. For AMD also has kind of like a head and shoulders like pattern. Kind of week after the event, it's kind of like a buy the rumor, sold the news event. Needs to reclaim 119 to be bullish. If it comes short, might see a small pump to 118, but then it's going to be likely forming a head and shoulders. That could also be followed by more downside. Coinbase is kind of weak here. We have this kind of like head and shoulders like pattern as well. It's possible we try to push a bit for like the low 240s, but keep in mind on the daily time frame, there's this giant gap down here to fill. So I wonder if we're just going to continue to fall. Could see a retest of essentially 240 like this, but then this could be followed by some downside, especially if 232 fails us. We could be coming down to fill this gap. I think we retest 240, and then we'll see if we reject or not. Amazon's kind of weak on the 4 hour. There's a gap to fill. We're going to see if this could get back above like 212 to be bullish. It might come a little short, and then we could continue to fall back down towards like 206. On Meta has 690 as resistance, and then 700 could get close to 690. I mean, it might come a little short of that, but then I do see a risk of 677 or below off a head and shoulders, so keep that in mind. Google's kind of weak here. Look at this 174 areas are support. We need to see if we can hold above 176 to turn back up. If not, we could reject here and continue to fall back down towards the 170 area. Microsoft has this resistance around 475. If we can't hold above that, we're looking for 472 to 470 as our targets, so keep that in mind. Also, the VIX has a gap down here, so I wonder, does the VIX come down a little bit as we start to fill this gap and then eventually break out, or do we dump all the way down to the 18s before it tries to bounce? This could be indicative of if we do start filling this gap, this would be in correlation with the market potentially pushing just a little bit. There might be a small rebound move on SPY, Tesla, and the market just to start things off. But like I said before, I can't promise you this move is going to last. It might just be a small rebound move like this to either fill this gap or maybe even retest this trend line, just a small push followed by more downside. I still think there's going to be a risk of more downside, even if we get a small push. So keep that in mind, guys. That's what I'm seeing so far. Anyways, that's it for my video. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll see you guys very soon with another update, and peace out.